tonight we have the reveal of Dimension Force, and it is an Arc 5 set. So let's get right into it. And as we can see, Odd Eyes has a new ritual monster. So let's get right into it with himself. He is a ritual pendulum, the first ritual pendulum monster to be added to the game. So let's take a look at it. Odd Eyes Pendulum Graph Dragon. It is searchable off of Double Iris Magician, I believe. Iris Magician, I think it is. But let's just double check real quick. You can add one pendulum. Yep. It is going to probably be searchable maybe off of Double Iris, but we'll have to see what the TCG does with it. It is a light level 7 Dragon Ritual Pendulum effect. 2700 attack, 2500 defense, and it's a scale of 4. Awkward scale, but that's what most extra deck pendulum monsters are. So, pendulum effect: during the end phase, you can add one ritual spell from your deck or graveyard to the hand, then return this card to the hand. You can only use this effect once per turn, which is fine because most of the time you're just going to have one. You can ritual summon this with Odd Eyes Advent. Must first either be ritual summoned or pendulum summoned from your hand. So you can either pendulum summon it or ritual summon it, which is interesting. Each time your opponent special summons a monster from the extra deck, inflict 300 damage to your opponent. It's a little burn card, which is nice. It's neat. Once per turn, when your opponent activates a spell or effect, quick effect, place this card in your pendulum zone, and if you do negate that effect, if you place this ritual card in the pendulum zone, you can also special summon one Odd Eyes monster from your extra deck. So this is actually very good, but one of the things about the card, you need it Odd Eyes Advent. It is an old spell card, very old spell card from Breaker of Shadow, and you can summon any ritual dragon monster from your hand or graveyard. You must also tribute pendulum monsters from your hand or field whose total level equal or exceeds the level of the ritual monster you ritual summon. If your opponent controls 2 or more monsters and you control no monsters, you can also send an Odd Eyes monster from your extra deck to the graveyard. And you can only activate one of them once per turn. So, yeah, you have to use a very old card. After that, we have Performapal Lady Angie. And it is a pendulum scale of 1 with 1000 attack, 1500 defense, level 3 light. The pendulum effect is once per turn when an attack is declared between your opponent and your monster. You can discard one pendulum monster from your hand to reduce your opponent's monster's attack by 1000 until the end of the turn. Also, it's a fairy type, so you can activate either of these effects once per turn. You can discard this card and add one other Performapal monster from your hand. So you discard itself and another Performapal monster to draw 2. When this card is in your graveyard and you control an Odd Eyes or Performapal Gentrude, you can place this card in one of your pendulum zones. So you're putting a free scale 1 in your pendulum zone off of a discard 2 to draw 2, which is actually quite nice, but I feel like it could have been a little better. Then we have Performapal Gentrude. It is a level 4 dark, scale of 8, 1500 attack, 1000 defense, and it reads as follows. You can only use the pendulum effect of this card's name once per turn. When you control a Performapal Lady Agni in your other pendulum zone and you control no monsters or only control pendulum monsters, you can add one Odd Eyes card from your deck to your hand. And it's a fiend type, so you can only activate either of these effects once per turn. When this card is destroyed, place a Performapal pendulum monster from your deck to your pendulum zone aside of Gentrude. And when this card is face up in your extra deck, discard one pendulum monster from your hand to add this card to your hand, then return one Performapal or Odd Eyes card from your pendulum zone to your hand. This is actually a very good card. Why do I say that? If it's when it's destroyed, so it can miss timing, and is Plush Fire a win or Plush Fire? I feel like Plush Fire is a if. So this card does miss timing, so you have to use it wisely. If it was an if, it would be way better. But overall, it's still a good card for what it is. After that, we have EXP. In addition to your normal Pendulum Summon, you can additionally Pendulum Summon a monster from your extra deck once during your main phase. So you can only gain this effect once per turn. So it gives you 2 Pendulum Summons in a card that is pretty good. I think this is going to be a staple in Pendulum decks now because it allows you to Pendulum Summon twice, which it can be very handy later down the line. And finally, we have the lovely Pendulum Scale. It has 4 effects, 5 effects, I believe. Well, let's see what it does. You can only activate 1 copy of this card once per turn. When you have cards in both your Pendulum Zone, activate an effect depending on the difference between their scales. 0, destroy 2 spell trap cards on the field. 1 to 3, add a level 2 to 5 Pendulum monster from your deck to your hand. 4 to 6, add a 5 to 7 from your deck to your hand, or 7 plus, return up to 2 cards from your Pendulum Zone to your hand, then special summon 1 Pendulum monster from your hand. This card is alright. I think it could be better, but overall, this is a good starting point going back into Pendulums after Sulfur Cord. And with Dimension Force dropping the legacy support for Odd Eyes, I was really expecting something else out of this. Now, we do have V-Jump card and I think another card for this deck, but we'll have to wait and see what that is. Also, the new Odd Eyes Pendulum Graph Dragon is searchable off of Duelist Alliance, as it adds 1 Pendulum monster or Pendulum spell or trap card from your deck to your hand. So, this is going to be interesting to say the least. But anyways, I've been Bolt Spider. I hope you guys did enjoy, and see you guys in the next video.